So before we get into today's demo, just a bit about ATGROUP. So ATGROUP, we're the global distributors for MacroView, which is a product we're here to demo to you today. So we deliver that across the globe, and we operate as a global business as well, established back in 2007. We provide services across all sectors and across the globe as well. We're focusing today on our AtDocs division, which is everything from physical print through to digital print. So clearly we're or digital documents. So that's what we're focusing on today. And we bring together some of the most exciting technology and deliver that and support that for you. So what does an effective content management or information management look like? And in a perfect world, this is what it would look like, all neatly arranged with your workflows and your ability to bring together structured and unstructured data. And really, it's that enterprise content management. How do you manage those two distinct sets of data? And with the advent of 365, and which a wonderful tool that it is, we clearly have various different ways of receiving and sharing data. And it's not often you have a product that basically can solve a problem that just about everyone's got. I don't know one customer that says, yeah, we've got this all managed. We've not got a problem at all. So we've got documents being shared through email. We've got them being shared through Teams channels now. I think for most people looking for those documents, thinking, well, where was it shared? Did it come through a Teams channel? Was it in my email? Have I already shared it to my SharePoint? Is it in my OneDrive? And then when you find that document, knowing, am I actually looking at the most recent version of that document as well? So, you know, we've all been through it, and it's becoming more and more difficult to manage. And every user manages it in their own way if they've not got the right tools. So as far as whether it's a problem for everyone, the good to have the analyst slides, but people are wasting a lot of time looking for documents and duplicating their work on the wrong documents. Of course, if we try and manage the user too hard, if we put too many barriers or controls in place, the problem is that users, they're not trying to create security issues, but they'll try and find a way around just to get their jobs done. So it's a problem that's seen across sectors and across industries. So in a nutshell, and the best way to show the product will be through the demo, but this is my simple view of what MacroView is. But it's the ability to give a single pane of glass, a single view across your complete Microsoft 365, from your email through to your drives, through to your Teams channels. So a very, very high level, that's what MacroView is all about. And I think probably a good time to hand off to David, whilst you take over to share the demo, David, just to say, for a lot of people who have not heard of MacroView, and probably think it's a startup business. Well, it's not. It's an Australian technology business. They've had great success, and they've been around for many, many years. Really what's happened in the last couple of years is the full integration into the M365 suite, including Teams, which really has unlocked the full potential of the product. So yeah, you're not dealing with a technology that's bleeding edge. It's been around for quite some time. So yeah, we look forward to showing you the product. So David, it is over to you.
Thanks, Shane. I think a quick introduction might help. I'm the CTO for the ATGROUP. Shane is obviously our sales director, newly appointed sales director. And I've joined the ATGROUP over 6 years ago. And prior to that, I was with legal firms for over 30 years in CIO roles. So I've got a pretty deep understanding of content management and information management. So I'll just take you through the journey and really emphasize what had been already raised to date. So let's just start with this screen here. So this screen speaks volumes about what is possibly happening in your environment right now. Whilst Microsoft is a great generalist tools, used for production, many of you would be using the production applications and storing these into these repositories. So you can see what's been highlighted there. This is a typical problem where users lose their way because they've got too many repositories, and navigating across all these different platforms is quite challenging. I think I'll start by taking you through what that customer or what the user experience is right now. So if I was just to assume a typical user in an organization that has access to SharePoint and Teams and OneDrive, this is me at ATDocs. And in this particular example, I've got access to 7 SharePoint sites, company announcements, human resources, events, all your typical service line websites. And typically every website contains documents that is relevant to that subject matter of that website. So as a user, I can just find the site, find the documents, and then navigate through and get the content that I need. But you can see here, whilst everything is neatly organized, I am pivoting across different sites here to find different documents, different document types. Along with this, I might be a user of Teams. So in the Teams environment, I might have access to these Teams channels, business development and marketing, all these. This Teams channel would have all these documents as well. And I might be a member of the new staff induction onboarding channel, and everything that we discuss on this Teams channel as a member, all the relevant documents are stored here. And again, you can see how everything is neatly placed and logically placed. As a user, I'm navigating through all the sites that I know where information lives. Adding to that, we've obviously got OneDrive. There's my OneDrive. So I've got my personal OneDrive repository in Windows Explorer. I've got my @Docs OneDrive, and I've got an @Group OneDrive. So you can see now, I've just through this quick example, I've just shown you 18 sites that as a user, I have to navigate across all these different platforms to find information. And whilst all the information has been stored, classified, and arranged in its appropriate areas, I have to start remembering where everything is here. And this is where this confusion around, where's that document gone? Where did I store it? This is the latest version. So what is possible using MacroView, and if I now pivot to a MacroView user and I look in Outlook, this is my Outlook inbox, classic Outlook. You'll see on the right-hand panel here, there's a MacroView pane. So if I expand that, this is showing all the SharePoint sites, all the Teams channels, and all the OneDrive sites that I just walked you through individually in the Microsoft 365 environment. So I can now look into one of these sites. If I looked into company announcements and documents, what I'm displaying here is all the documents that we were looking at prior to looking at this through Outlook. I can preview all the documents, navigate through all the different document sets in the company announcements site. If I choose to, I can change the different views of this. Like this is obviously got nested folders. I can remove all those folders so there are no folders. So it's just a flat file. I can then do a search within this site for, let's look for ESTT, anything to do with ESTT. And it will quickly return all those documents that sit within that site for me to quickly review. If I right mouse click on one of these documents, I'll get all the Windows features to be able to open this natively and work on that. I've got version control history in which it will display. And I'll talk a bit more about version control later. And I can also, if I've got the rights, I can copy a file directly to my Outlook folder. So now I've got that locally, so I can carry around in my briefcase. So this is all possible as a user, provided I've got all the rights to do this. So what is being displayed on the right-hand side here is everything that has been designed and configured for all the users, in particular me, for the rights that I have to the information, to the particular sites, and the ability to download, view, or preview these documents. So all the administrative work that has been done to date in your SharePoint environment stays. This is only running off all the rules that you have built in and baked in there. All the data hasn't moved, so it all sits in the same place. So if I wanted to further interact with this, for example, if I'm in my inbox and I have an email, say this information age email regarding Qantas, that's relevant to a particular site, I can right mouse click. You can see the option of here, save message to SharePoint. I can save the message to SharePoint in the MacroView toolbar up here, or alternatively, I can simply drag that and drop that into that folder. That action there just uploaded the email into that SharePoint site. So we'll have a look now, go back here. There it is, the information email. So you can see here from the examples that I gave of working without MacroView and navigating across all the SharePoint or the Microsoft repositories compared to what's available here from a visual point of view. Now, you might say that the MacroView pane on the right looks pretty rudimentary, but this is done intentionally because this is exactly what Windows Explorer looks like. So it's got that familiarity for users to feel comfortable about navigating across different sites and repositories. So if you choose to not live in Outlook and you want these features, what MacroView also provides here. Oh, just before I do that, just finishing off filing. So I showed you manual filing. MacroView out of the box also provides you with managed filing or auto filing. So I'm just about to show you a thread of emails. This is in this example, it's emails from myself to my Gmail account. And you'll notice that this particular email in the subject line has got this tag on it. In this instance, it's demo 1003 1003. This is what we call a luggage tag. in the document management arena. So that means if I've tagged an email with this and I've selected the location, anytime this email is replied to, it will automatically file in this location. I no longer have to do the action of dragging and dropping into that location. So if I started a conversation and then I sent that off to Shane, and then Shane would then send that to another third party and didn't include me, all those emails would be saved here. So I get as a user that's got access to this repository, I will have the full discussion thread, regardless if I was copied BCC in the conversation or not, which is far more useful than having my own Outlook folder and just filing what I receive and what I create. So getting back to the other view, the outside of Outlook, MacroView also provide the DMS Explorer, which is essentially what we're looking at on the right-hand side, but without all the noise for Outlook here. I can look at all the documents as I did before, preview those, look at if a document's got a version. So under version history, there's all the different versions of that file. If I choose to, I can launch that by just double clicking on that. Here's the file. I can I can make an edit, an amendment, save that. And that will automatically update the history to version 8. So version control is very intuitive and easy to use here because MacroView is doing it all for you. Sure, you can look up versions on files through the 365 platform, but I challenge you that this is far easier to view if any file's got version history or not, because you can simply scroll through as you do through any file in Windows Explorer. So added to this, if you have users that don't want to navigate and search through this tree root structure, there is the ability to search. So MacroView have got a search panel as well. So we can do a keyword search. I just hit search on that. Currently, as a user, I've got access to 440 documents. If I wanted to search all the non-disclosure documents, that will distill that down to 97. If I wanted to see the one specifically to Ross Connors, it's distilled it to 13. So you can see how MacroView is leveraging off the power of the 365 platform and the level of integration MacroView has with the Microsoft suite to give you that visibility across all these repositories and the ability to interact with the information. Now, in addition to this, depending on how sophisticated you are able to create your own search panels. So what I just showed you here is your rudimentary keyword search, but you could be more specific and have custom search panels. And in this instance, created one in the legal context of files, matter files, document types. So we've created a set of document types that you can choose from, different matter types. status of matters. So you could then start searching on that. For example, if I wanted to search on matter number or case number 1000, this is working off the metadata that's been tagged to a file now. It's showing me all the documents that sit within that matter number. Then I can look at, the document type, see if there's any contracts there. And they're the contracts for that matter number 1000. So you could say that this MacroView product that sits across the 365 platform is a lightweight document management system, but it can be more sophisticated depending on how you configure this. Now, to arrive to these additional metadata file categories, this is simply done through a configuration. And what I have up here at the top with the demo sites under the legal solutions extension, I have created a number of matters here. So I have a ABC Court takeovers matter. The client is DXL, matter numbers 1002. These are the different document types within that. So it's kind of, the possibilities are endless on how you structure this. It's almost like creating a folder structure in Windows Explorer. The difference here is any document that's copied into this structure inherits the metadata tags that you have defined there. So if we look at this file and look at the properties of this file, we can see here the document types affidavit. I haven't done anything here other than copy the file into this location. The library name is DXL, so that library name could be client name. The matter name is ABC Corp Takeover. Matter number 1002, which is, it's all reflective in the structure that you've created here. So doing that gives you the ability to create these custom search panels. And these search panels can be specific to different groups of users, practice groups, service groups, depending on what is most relevant for them. So you can make it much more targeted than just a rudimentary search. How are we going for time? We've got about...
We're good. We're good if there's more you want to show.
Okay. I can also show the ability for MacroView, because everything that I've shown you right now is all the integration to the Microsoft SharePoint environment. At no point in time have I gone to that SharePoint environment as a user. So I'm just navigating through like I would through Windows Explorer. Now, from a administration point of view, we have tools that assist the administrators as well. So if I to right mouse click here, I have the ability to provision new site collections, new libraries, create a new matter library. So I can easily create another site, a SharePoint site, number Teams channel from here, and then assign the users and permissions to that. So even from a administrator's point of view, this is a great tool to visualize what's going on. And if I found that, hey, there's a document that's in this company announcements section, which shouldn't be there. They should actually be in the events document. I can drag and drop that across. And that action there, provided I've got the rights, will move that document between those SharePoint sites. So that's just moved that file between the SharePoint sites. So I challenge anyone to do it easier than that without this tool. But there's many more use case examples of how we could use MacroView, but I think it was important to just emphasize the fact that out of the box, end users get an immediate return on the productivity gains through this. And as administrators of this site, you can then start, implementing better governance, and the users will follow that because they don't feel like they're working any differently, because to them, they're working with a Windows Explorer view, folders and files, and just dragging and dropping as they're used to doing. But if they want to go beyond that, you can create search panels. You can distill that list and tag favorites, and it has a complete audit of all the recent files, recent searches that I've conducted. So it's quite a powerful tool. It seems like a very simple tool, but very, very powerful in terms of all the use cases that it can address.
Dave, did you just want to talk about the implementation, how it integrates with 365 and SharePoint?
Yes, the implementation. This is a client-side implementation. So you don't have to install anything on your tenancy at all. It is by named user. So you can start with 10 users and just install it on their desktop. That will integrate and explore all the rights they have in their SharePoint environment, and then quickly display, like you're saying here, all the information they have rights to. So the installation is very simple. Sure, you can script that to go out to larger groups, different types of groups, whether they're legal professionals or service people or project people. So that is all available to roll out. And because it's named user and it sits on the client side, it doesn't mess with your existing Microsoft setup. This is also available in Outlook, New Outlook, a product called DMS Next, MacroView DMS Next, and also available with Teams. So MacroView, because they are very closely integrated with Microsoft, they follow the Microsoft roadmap and stay in tune with that.
Excellent. Okay, David, was there anything else you wanted to show before we get to a Q&A?
No, look, I think that's probably enough food for thought. Certainly we can do deeper dives individually if members of the audience want to explore their particular use case. But I can hand it over to the Q&A session if you like.
So Adrian Rich had a question. She said, you seem to be searching in just SharePoint. Can you search across all repositories?
That is searching across all repositories. When I do that search, it's doing everything that I've got access to. That's Teams and OneDrive. Or you can configure it so you can make it specific to each repository. So it's
great. She also asked, can you change the name of the fields? For example, change matter to job in each place where matter is used as a field name?
Absolutely. As I mentioned, with the structure that the example I've given here, this is in the legal context. I've also got a projects one here, project solutions extension. So let's have a look at this. Acme projects. This is more project management. So this might be new office fit out, new building. So these are the labels here that are going to be tagged to the files. So depending on how you structure that, if we were having a look at the properties of a file within this, it'd be very different to ones we saw earlier. So document types, correspondence, library names, projects. We've got a library number. Project name is new office. So it's really up to your naming conventions and your governance of how you want to structure this. And it will automatically apply those metadata tags based on this structure. Ultimately, it's the name of each folder that becomes a metadata tag. And when files are copied into a particular folder, it will adopt all those metadata tags. Then you can create the search panels and search on that.
And then Raquel Frost asked, in relation to the search functionality, can it search for specific phrases within the documents in the repositories? And if so, how are the results presented? Does it highlight where the phrase appears in each document?
That's a good question. It will. Well, I think what MacroView are doing, I'll have to check this with the technical people. They are doing extensible searches now, so they are including phrases. But if I did a phrase here, it would look for that exact phrase. It's not like a fuzzy term phrase where, the word means something else and it will use the AI to do that. But when you do a search, at the moment, it won't show you where the phrase comes up. But I can clarify that if you want to reach out to Shane later, we can look at that more specifically and have the MacroView technicians assist us with that question. That was a good question.
Then Ravi asked, this is what everyone can get after just one installation?
Yes, one installation. You install this, and then what you'll find is when you open up Outlook, you'll have this panel, and it will just expand and show you exactly what you've got access to. And depending on which modules you buy, you can get the Explorer view as well. But
That's probably worth.
literally an installation within 5 minutes of the installation and a reboot, it should display everything you have access to.
It's probably worth mentioning, though, that as well with the licensing of the product, there is a huge amount of features. So for any legal firms that are on the webinar using enterprise DMS systems, there will be lots of features and functionality that we've not covered today. So even outside of legal, a legal team within an enterprise business may need different features from other business units, and you can actually license it based on unit. So you don't necessarily need the all singing, all dancing, all features. You can actually mix and match, so you actually get the right features for the right people. And obviously that commercially is nice as well, because a lot of DMSs you've got it all or nothing.
Yeah. Whilst you were talking there, Shane, I was just having a look at that search capability. It does say exact phrase, so it searches phrases, but we'll have to have a look at how sophisticated that gets and what MacroView has got in their roadmap with search, because I know they're doing lots more with it. Because it sits within the 365 platform, you can then start adding to that and complementing that with the likes of Copilot, the likes of Power Apps, or the BI tools. So it's kind of endless where this this can go, because this complements the whole Microsoft 365 environment. And if you're using a Microsoft E3, E5 licenses, you've essentially paid for the storage for each user, and you've got access to all these other features that you're probably not utilizing to its full extent. This will give you some runway to that.
We have another question from Adrian. She asked, is there a requirement for SQL Server or any other on-prem servers, or is this a SaaS? If the latter, can we select where this is located, Europe or Australia, for example?
Yes, you can, and it works both hybrid on-premise or just straight online. So it's probably a question that we would, need your actual design set up and what your governance is, around where you'd like the site, where your tenant is, whether it needs to be geo-fenced, etc. But there are a lot of options in how and where you can install this and where it will be operational. Essentially, if it's with Microsoft, it will work.
Dylan, I'm just we're kind of into the Q&A, so if we've got some more that you want to raise now.
Some other questions here. Can different sensitive users have different configurations?
Absolutely. I mentioned you can have groups of users and different users having different search panels based on what their daily requirement is. I gave you two examples here. I gave you one in the legal context. I gave one from a services perspective where it's all project driven. It's a matter of creating different configuration files and search panels so you can have a collection of those and then deploying them to the appropriate groups. So they wouldn't get a search panel that is very extensive and not relevant to what they do.
And then can we migrate data out of our existing DMS?
Yes, well, it's because it's Microsoft. I'm sure Microsoft has got lots of connectors and APIs to your existing DMS. So it's a matter of what your DMS is and getting it into Microsoft Azure or your own on-premise systems and getting MacroView, putting the lens across those Microsoft repositories that we were talking about.
Yeah. So we can, depending on the DMS that you're migrating from, we can provide those services as well. It's quite specific on what you've got. But yes, we could potentially help with that.
We have another question in here. Can MacroView access the data, or is it just looking at the metadata to provide the search functionality?
MacroView is looking like it's a lens that looks straight into your SharePoint tenancy. So it is, how can I phrase this? So the way MacroView works is it's built on the plug and play framework. So there's no middleware as such. It's no creating duplicate files or anything. This is just a lens that's just a straight pass through into your Microsoft environment. So it can see everything that you have access to as a user, an end user, it has access to. It will display and give you that full functionality of what you can do in the traditional sense of just going to a SharePoint site and then operating on that file.
Then what happens if a user goes directly to SharePoint? Does it break this?
No, MacroView sees it no differently. If the user goes directly to SharePoint and makes changes, that's going to be reflected straight through to MacroView because, as I mentioned, because it's a straight pass through, it sees that environment regardless of how it's interacted, which is, I think, one of the strengths of MacroView because it's one, the way it's licensed on named user, and the fact that it uses the repository and data sources that are already pre-existing, and all the data governance that's already set up and the rights management. That is the source of truth, and that it extends off that and gives the that view that's really intuitive to the user, so they can be more productive. So you can operate half and half. You can have the users that love interacting with your SharePoint environment as is now. They can exist. They can do that, but they won't upset the data that MacroView users would see or do as well, because it is just a lens across the top, and it gives you that functionality with the DMS features.
And then a couple last questions while we wrap up. Do we need to deploy to all users, or can we pick specific business units?
You can pick specific business units, sold in blocks of 50. And we do have trial licenses where we can provide a 30-day trial license to a group of users, at least 10, where you can trial this out. But as I mentioned, it's not an all-in proposition here. You can do this progressively.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point and a good question, actually, because we have got customers that, again, is probably more legal specific, but where they're looking at whether everyone needs to be in the enterprise DMS. So even if you decide that, or you've got years to run on your existing enterprise DMS, you might want to take out a business services or business units to that as well. So we're really flexible on what we can do with that.
And just two more questions of someone asked, won't Copilot just do all this for me?
Copilot can do it, but it's really a question of, is your environment ready for Copilot? I have this conversation with everyone that I present this to. Copilot would actually benefit more if you have this in place, because this will give you the ability to get your data governance and structure correct, and classify and tag the information appropriately. So when you start using Copilot across your organization and educating your end users on how to ask the question, rather than get Copilot and ask it, bring me all the NDAs that I have access to. If you've started to tag those files, as I showed, you can ask Copilot to return all the NDAs with litigation matter 1000, and only want the contracts between these dates. And because these files have already been tagged with that additional metadata based on what your naming convention and what your governance, your data governance is, it will give you far more better results, and the users won't be getting too much information where they've got to start dissecting what they're looking for. So it's getting Copilot as your digital assistant, training that to work better, because it's got a better data set to work with.
Hmm.
And I know we're over time, but we have one more question from Adrian. They asked, how is MacroView licensed and what does it cost?
It's a good question. Depends. So the pricing ranges from as little as kind of £6-7 per user per month upwards, depending on the modules. But reach out to us individually, and we can have a talk more about what you actually need to achieve, and then we'd be more than happy to share the numbers. So should we better wrap up, I guess, so that we keep you into 45 minutes. So just very, very quick summary on David's excellent presentation and demo. So hopefully you've seen today, we can provide this lovely view across your whole M365, and we can provide lots of great features to help your users simply find documents, drag drop. We can get more advanced features around the auto filing. There's so much more to the product as well. But hopefully for today, this has given everyone a really good flavour of the power of the product, how easy it could be to implement, how flexible it can be to implement. And yeah, we'll share the recording with you all, and look forward to following up and talking through your specific requirements. So I think that's about it. So thanks for joining, and we shall speak to you all soon.